Hey, what's up guys? Today we're here at Marazzo's doing some no limit shopping. So I'm gonna take you guys in and show you guys what I buy on a weekly basis for all my groceries. Follow me. In the off season, I like to eat a lot of variety. With the avocados, I actually mix it in my protein shakes, like half an avocado. It's around like 10 grams of fat. And when you blend it in the blender with ice cubes in the animal way, it gives it a really nice thick consistency. So I got 2 of those. It's like 4 servings if I cut them in half. We got here some bananas. Not looking too ripe. I don't generally eat a whole lot of bread on my diet, but on my higher carb days, or like a refeed day, I guess you'd call it. Before I work out, I like to add like maybe a bagel or like an English muffin, something that's really easy to digest and packed with a lot of carbs. So you got English muffins here, and I'll usually put like honey on them. So yeah, so one bagel is gonna have like 55 grams of carbs. Put some honey on there and, you know, upwards to 80 grams of carbs. And then as far as protein goes, I always try and have 1 red meat meal a day. And that usually comes from like an extra lean ground beef. If you can't get extra lean, like this one here is 85%, you can always cook it and then just like put it on a paper towel and sort of absorb some of the fats out of it. So it'll be a leaner, and you get to pay a cheaper price. So like this one here, yeah, $13. Yeah, $13, and geez, that's gonna give me at least 5 or 6 servings. Then as another protein source, I look for either like chicken breast, ground chicken, or like ground turkey, and you know, sometimes maybe one or the other's on sale, so I'll try to grab whatever's on sale. This is 99% fat-free ground turkey breast, so there should be virtually no fat. So it's 20 grams of protein and 1 gram of fat. So with that, that'll be about 3 or 4 servings, $5. This one here is on sale for $3.99, but it's not chicken breast, so if we're going for protein, the problem is we're gonna get a lot less protein because every serving only has 22 grams of protein, 9 grams of fat. So I'm gonna go with this one. This one's gonna have a higher percentage protein. And lastly, for our protein source, I'm gonna go with the 18 eggs for $4.99. I usually have 4 or 5 whole eggs per serving, so I think that's a really good value. And that pretty much kicks off all my protein sources in the off season, except for obviously like my animal whey that'll have 1 to 2 times a day. The odd time I will do egg whites in the off season, especially if I'm having any digestive issues. I find egg whites are good to switch to because they digest very, very easy. So like, you know, but they seem a little bit pricey here, $4.19 for a carton. But in the off season, I usually stick with the whey protein, the animal whey. So in off season, I tend to get bored of eating the same foods over and over again. So, you know, a lot of people just eat oatmeal. I have it once a day. You can obviously get like a value pack. Actually, this is a lot better deal, so I will go with this one. It's like double the size for less than $2 more. Oats, cream of rice, very, very easy to digest, and I like cream of wheat as well. So I usually switch it up between those 3 carb sources. So another thing I recommend in the off season, if you're having a hard time getting in the calories, sometimes it's good like right before you go to bed. You know, a lot of people have a hard time eating bland foods all the time. So like eating something like, there's a lot of like really high, good quality granolas out there now. Like this one here, for example, very dense in calories. So like per 60 grams, it's 7 grams of fat and 44 carbs. So like if you have a cup of this stuff, it's very dense. You mix that with like a scoop, 2 scoops of animal whey, and you got a really, really good calorie filled meal right before you go to bed. To keep myself sane in the off season, I grew up eating tons of cereal. I love cereal. So, I mean, I tend to always go to Fruit Loops. People might ask, oh, why do you choose Fruit Loops over Captain Crunch or other ones? Well, at least in Canada, I'll check the ones here, but it's one of the Fruit Loops, Alphabets, honeycombs. There's only a few of them that stay away from ingredients like high fructose corn syrup, which I try to avoid. So that's one of the reasons why I go to Fruit Loops. And another reason is I just tried them one time, and they digest very, very easy for me. And I noticed the next day I get really full off them. So I stick with them. So yeah, so here are Fruit Loops, $1.99 a box. And in the ingredients, sugar, and there is no high fructose corn syrup, so it's all good. So for fats, I use a lot of either natural peanut butter, cashew butter, or almond butter. In Canada, the almond butter is a lot cheaper than it is here. It's very expensive here, so I'm going to stick with the peanut butter today. I like to include this in like my oatmeal, like oatmeal banana, maybe some fruit, and like 2 scoops of animal whey. I really like to use the peanut butter in there. So we're going to go with the natural Smucker's peanut butter. And on top of that, I would like to get some honey. On my high carb days, I put honey on my my bagels, and even post workout, when I have my creamy rice, I include about a tablespoon of honey. 100% Canadian, so we know it's got to be good. So we're gonna go with that one. Little tip for anyone who has, maybe a sweet tooth like I do and likes their snacks. A lot of the chip brands now offer baked versions. So there's like way less fat in them, like sometimes up to 80% less fat. These particular ones are 65% less fat. In Canada, I buy the kettled version, kettled bakes, and they're like very, very low fat. But even if we look at these, per serving, 28 grams, you got 21 carbs and 3.5 grams of fat. And a lot of the times they're just potatoes baked. These particular ones have a bunch of, onion powder, cheese powder, this and that on them. But the ones I buy in Canada by kettle don't. But it's a really good option if you like chips and you still want to keep it like good quality carb. Okay, so off season, pre-contest, you eat a ton of vegetables. Off season, you're pretty full from eating lots of foods. The more fiber I eat, the more sort of bloated I get. So I still include vegetables, but not like a ton of them. So I'll usually stick with like frozen green beans or like frozen broccoli, and I'll have that like 2-3 times a day with my meals. So these green beans right here, $1.99. Probably got a week's worth of green beans for me for $2. Everyone's scared of pasta because, gluten. But unless you have an allergy to gluten or you're allergic to it, I don't see the problem with it. So yeah, I'll usually stick with like a penne or like a spaghetti. We're gonna go with a package of the Barilla Angel Hair spaghetti pasta. So they don't have any sushi rice here, so I'm gonna pass on the rice today. But I usually do include that in my weekly diet. But we got lots of other carb sources here, so it'll be good. Sea salt, very important. I put it on all my meals. Even when I have my oatmeal, my shakes, I always include the same amount of sea salt on a daily basis. It helps to hydrate your muscle, keep your muscles full. So that's a very important thing to include in your diet. And I think a lot of people miss that. So that's something very important. Coconut oil is another fat I use on a daily basis. I usually mix that with my rice meals. I love the taste of it on my rice with chicken, whatever beef. So I already have some back at the hotel, so I'm not going to buy some today. But that's something I include in my diet every day. I love ketchup. I can eat ketchup on anything. So we'll just go for good old Heinz, $3.29. All right, guys, we're gonna go through the meals here. This is breakfast. So first thing in the morning, I'll do about 80 grams of oats, which is 1 cup. 80 grams oats. We're gonna have that with banana, peanut butter, and our Animal Way, the brownie batter, chocolate flavor. So oatmeal's done. That's gonna bump the carb count up to about 80 grams of carbs. Then we're gonna add about 20 grams weight of the natural peanut butter. Generally in the off season, I mean, numbers I sort of shoot for as an average, like not exact every meal, but it'll be like 60 to 80 grams of carbs, 10 grams of fat, and 50 to 60 grams of protein. So I always weigh my fats because, you know, you tell someone a tablespoon and it's pretty easy to take a heaping tablespoon that's like double the fat intake. Okay, that's 20. And then I'll always add just a little bit of sea salt. Same amount each meal. So mix that all together. I try not to use like too many artificial sweeteners like Splenda and stuff. If I do sweeten my food with anything, in Canada, we have this stevia in the raw. It's really good. So I'll put a little bit of that in there. And now we're gonna add the Animal Way, 2 scoops. Around 60 grams of protein. And again, in this meal, you can add different things. Like if you want to add some fresh fruit or cranberries or raisins. If you want a little more fat in there, even like coconut shavings are really good to add in. Ooh. So I'll add all that. Meal 1, done. Okay, today for carbs, for 3 of my carb meals, I'm gonna have the angel hair spaghetti. The water is boiled. We're gonna add our pasta. Should take about 10 or 12 minutes for that to boil. And we'll get going now. Cream of rice for post-workout. And again, of this post-workout, I usually have a little bit more carbs. So I usually do 90 grams weight, which is about 70 grams of carbs. But then, of course, I add a tablespoon of honey. A lot of people have troubles cooking cream of rice, so I'll show you guys how to cook it properly in the microwave. And measure out 90 grams. You gotta make sure you put enough water because it dries up pretty quick when you microwave it. And you gotta check it every minute and stir it. So just 1 minute at a time. We'll get some more animal whey going. You're gonna give it a stir. You gotta judge it. If it's drying out too fast at 1 minute, add a little bit more water. Another minute. And with my creamy rice and honey, I like to use the salted caramel animal whey. Gonna give it another stir. And judging by the looks of it, needs another 30 seconds or so. Creamy rice is done and creamy. Crack our pure 100% Canadian honey. Nothing but the best. We'll weigh it. 21 grams a tablespoon with honey. Some salt. And salted caramel animal whey. And again, this is another one post-workout. If you're in a rush, you can literally drink it. Done. This meal here is if I'm up like really late, or I just want an extra meal or a snack for bed. I'll eat some extra calories, try and put on weight. So I'll weigh it out. 60 grams is 44 carbs. So I'll have I want about 80 grams of carbs. So I'll do 100 grams weight. And you'll see it's really dense. So you don't need a whole lot. It's 100 grams. So for that meal as well, I'll add different flavored animal whey, like maybe a cookies and cream. I like sweet proteins. So maybe the cookies and cream or vanilla, chocolate. In this case, this granola has chocolate bits in it. So why not use the fudge brownie? Or no, brownie batter. That's done. Actually, something really good to add to that is like coconut shavings. If you add coconut shavings to that, it gives it a good texture, sweetens it up a little bit too. So I like to do that sometimes. I gotta fit one more plate on here. So our pasta's done. I don't always eat pasta. I'll switch it up between rice, potatoes. But in this case today, we're going to be eating pasta. And I'll salt all those. Now we're going to get cooking our ground turkey, breast, and ground beef. All right, guys. So I like to make my my ground beef and my turkey into patties. I just find it stays fresh for longer, especially if I'm like cooking in bulk, and it stays a little more tender that way. I know offhand what about 6 ounces is because I do this every day of my life. Some turkey patties going, 6 ounces. Fire up the pan. Let that heat up for a couple minutes. And that takes usually about 15 or 20 minutes to cook, if that. All right, so got our beef patties, turkey patties. So we're gonna do one beef meal today. My turkey balls. And then I will include some green beans. I'll cook those up real quick. A little bit of green beans on each meal. So that's pretty much it, guys. I mean, there you have it. This is my no limit grocery run for the day. We'll start with breakfast. So we got our oatmeal, our banana with our animal whey, and sometimes I'll even add like berries, like blueberries, raspberries, or whatever to that meal. There's natural peanut butter in there. And then meal number 2 would be, say, like a pre-workout meal. And that's going to be our pasta, turkey breast, with a little bit of vegetables, green beans. And then again, on high carb days, I would add like a bagel with some honey to that meal. On a day that I'm not training, if that's my second meal, I would add some fat to it. So either like half an avocado or like 2 teaspoons of coconut oil. And then post-workout, on a post-workout day, it would be the creamy rice with a tablespoon of honey and a salted caramel animal whey. And then meal number 4 would be the beef pasta, again with some beans. Don't add any fat to that meal because there's already fat in the ground beef. And then we would move to meal number 5, which again is pasta, turkey breast, vegetables, and with that meal I will add fat. Again, some avocado or some coconut oil. And from time to time, guys, I'll mix it up. I'll maybe have some whole eggs. In the off season, I like to have as like a last meal sometimes some like granola, chocolate animal whey. I'll maybe add something like some coconut shavings in there. This particular granola though has it has added dark chocolate, cranberry, and almonds already in it, so it's pretty good. So basically, guys, all this food here today cost us $75, and that's eating with lots of variety. I didn't cook everything today, but sometimes instead of creamy rice, I'll have like cream of wheat. So there's lots of variety there at $75. That's going to be like 4 days. Some things will last longer. If we're adding the cost of the animal whey in there, for my budget on a weekly basis, it's about $150 to $200, and I eat a lot. So that's pretty much it, guys. This is pretty much what it takes on a daily basis to keep me growing.